The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to Just the Facts on Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 9, Cut Off. I go into more detail on this in the full review, but long story short, it seems that Power Rangers is in the process of transitioning from Nickelodeon to Netflix. Part of that is the standard every year happening where the first 8 episodes of the show are placed onto Netflix. Except that this year, it's the first 11 episodes. That means there are 3 brand new episodes of Dino Fury for us to take a look at. So, Dragon Knight goes on the back shelf for just a little bit, and Dino Fury retakes the stage. Let's take a look at the 9th episode of the newest Netflix original, Cut Off.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon.
Right you. What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
The Rangers go camping, and Ollie, being the Blue Ranger that he is, brings a whole bunch of technology with him. However, the other Rangers are feeling extra technophobic today and give him a hard time about this. Especially Amelia, who took her extra cranky pills this morning. Or maybe it was the writers that did so when they wrote her so terribly out of character. Meanwhile, Void Knight, Mucus, and a monster that looks like a flower dinosaur but is apparently supposed to be a rooster, Rustafa, launch, eventually, a balloon that contains a communications blocker, blocking all forms of communication, including teleportation, which, as any scientist knows, is a form of communication.
Wrong.
Everyone who isn't blue, dabba-dee-dabba-die, wants to hike back to the city to make sure it's protected, but Ollie wants to stay put and try to invent something that will take out the balloon. The Rangers think that this is such a good idea that they generally mock and belittle his entire existence for daring to suggest it. It becomes a moot point anyway. A moot point, actually, since Ollie took the batteries out of his shoes, which apparently destroyed his shoes, so he can't hike back anyway. As the villains plunder the city for Sporix, the Technophobic Rangers hike in a great big circle and come right back to the camp, seeing Ollie fail to destroy the balloon. This is exactly what they predicted, but they apparently feel sorry for him or something, now believing in the power of technology and offering to help. They craft a wooden crossbow, which is an interestingly low-tech addition to the high-tech arrow, and that works. Solon gets the Rangers to the city to deal with the monsters. Eventually, Rustafa grows, and the Core 3 go to take that on in the Megazord, while the Garcias deal with Void Knight. Eventually, Void Knight gets away with the 3 Sporix, so the Garcias go help with the Megazord's warrior formation, plucking Rustafa's feathers. Back at the camp, the other Rangers apologize for being butt monkeys to Ollie, and he gives them all super nifty techie camping jackets as well, which include life-raft bubbles that let you roll down a hill and have some fun. Meanwhile, Void Knight puts their 3 Sporix into the jukebox and says they have a plan the Rangers will never see coming. Let's balance the scales. Episode 9, Cut Off. Pros, dynamic Megazord fight footage, the balance of high and low tech, and Izzy's characterization. Cons, felt pretty pointless, character assassination, especially for Amelia, and try-hard comedy misses the mark. Welcome back? Cut Off gets 2 scales out of 5. The highlight of this episode for me really was the Zord fight. That's not saying much, it wasn't brilliant, but it was well shot and entertaining. I'm a sucker for a good Zord fight, okay? We got Fortress Formation, aka Tank Mode. We got a nice basic level Zord fight. We got the Warrior Formation with all 5 Zords. I was satisfied. It's kind of an underplayed plot point in this episode, and you might notice that most of my praise for this episode is kind of backhanded, but I kind of like how we start with this premise that Ollie is obsessed with the high tech, But in the end, the solution comes from a combination of high-tech and low-tech. The other Rangers decided to try the most low-tech approach possible, walking to the city, while Ollie tried a solution that was very high-tech. Neither of them worked on their own. The two approaches had to come together, combining a rather low-tech crossbow with the high-tech arrow to save the day. And again, this is small, little, looking for positive things to say about this episode stuff, but Izzy's characterization at the end of this episode was really fun. After she gets up from rolling down the hill, there is this rage, this almost Klingon anger. But then she tempers it and realizes that she's having fun. It was just really nice. Izzy is really starting to get this Gia vibe to her, where she gets noticed in every single episode, even if she's not the focus. Okay, here we go. What was the point of this episode? It comes right on the heels of a very story-heavy episode, although right on the heels, we're into June now, it's been weeks since that other episode aired, but go with me on this. So maybe that was the point, taking a breath, a light little fluffy episode that just adapts some Sentai footage. I really prefer when the story of Power Rangers goes from story beat to story beat to story beat to story beat. That's not saying that every episode has to be a premiere or a finale, but important. Every episode should be important. I feel like the only important thing that happened in this episode is that Void Knight got 3 weaker Sporix. And was that really that important? I realize it's far too late to ask the writers of Dino Fury to stop doing something during Dino Fury, but if any of them are involved in either the next adaptation or the next new version of Power Rangers, whatever that ends up being, please stop writing the Rangers out of character to satisfy a single episode's plot point. I do not like hating Amelia. There was no reason for her to be so snotty with Ollie about his tech thing. She works at an online journalism outlet. Tech is part of her life. In the first episode, she was carrying around the electro zappy net ghost gun thing. This particular episode, at the very least, was trying way too hard to be funny. That whole chicken crossing the road thing with Zato and Rustafa was cringeworthy. Jane and Jayborg weren't even mentioned in this version of the plot recap. To be fair, they weren't really terrible this time around. It just wasn't really important. There were very few gags in this episode that actually landed. This episode was just trying way too hard to be funny. And you never want to try to be funny. Some people are going to see this video and think that I have just decided to be the contrarian, that I saw the positive reviews and the tweets for the new Netflix episodes and just decided to lean into this cranky old man persona, the angry Power Rangers nerd, if you will. Is nothing good enough for me? Have I become that unpleasable?
I will never be satisfied.
When I saw those tweets, I got excited. Oh, good. The new episodes kick butt. I'm really looking forward to doing some positive reviews. As I started watching this episode, those thoughts became more, really? This is what everybody got excited about? Amelia acting like one of the mean girls? An episode that doesn't really have a moral or a reason to exist? A monster that looks like everything but what it's supposed to be? I keep it real, for better or for worse. If episodes 10 and 11 are better, are really good, I'll be the happiest reviewer on the internet. This episode was not good. Let's hope that episode 10, Phoning Home, is better. A knight from Zato's home planet suddenly appears at Dinohenge with a message that might be too good to be true, and Solon has her suspicions. That is going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review, the first of the new Netflix era. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching, and especially, and I know I say this a bit sometimes, but I really do mean this, thank you all for your patience with me as I've gone through this kind of summer drought of videos. I actually decided to look at, when I started filming this, I realized that I would be able to look at the file dates on the previous videos and see when the last time I filmed was. June 2nd. I have not filmed a new video in almost exactly 2 weeks. That's really crazy to me. And it's not how I want to operate this channel, even having a social life. Like, I realize that having a social life is not something that is bad. It's something that's healthy. It's something that's good. And work is work. You know, am I working too much? Possibly. But, you know, I have work and I have my social life, and then I have this channel that's been like my primary hobby. And I really just need to learn how to balance all 3 of those better. So it is something I'm working on. I do want to get more content out to you. It may not be as much content as I used to make because I have more things competing for my time, but I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep reviewing things. I'm going to finish Dragon Knight. I'm going to keep working on the comics, and I'm going to be doing this, and I have toy reviews that I want to do. I just got in. I'm pointing at it right now off screen at my bed. The Power Rangers deck building game by Renegade. I have it. It's in this box right here. Look. Ooh, preview. Ooh, little sneak peek. So that was really random, sorry. So yeah, I have all of that stuff to work on. I want to make those videos. I am going to make those videos. I appreciate the patience and support of everybody on this channel, the folks that are on my Patreon, etc., etc. I thank you so much for watching and just staying patient with me, and I really appreciate that. Now that the review is over, you can let me know if you liked it by hitting that thumbs up button right down below. And while you're down there, you can leave a comment letting me know if you enjoyed this episode, as well as my review of it. And remember, if you want to lend any financial support to my channel, you can always check me out on Patreon or Ko-fi. And you can also check out my Teespring to get lovely t-shirts like this one, or the old channel logo, various merch, etc. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. The Rangers go... I realize it's far too late to ask the writers of Dino Fury to stop doing something versus...